Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Lap Down. I am your host, as always, Greg Farmer, and tonight I have JP, Jamie, Ryan, and Tyler with me. How are we doing tonight, fellas?
Not too bad.
Good.
Doing Actually, no tornadoes going after me tonight. I think we're all right.
That's good. As always, we like to thank our band, the Alkali Project, for doing the intro music for this podcast and the outro music. Please be sure to check out their album, The Blood World. First things first, I'm going to hand it off to Tyler real quick for him to discuss the first 2 days of IndyCar practice for the Indy 500. Take it away.
Hello, guys. How we doing tonight? Tonight, the last 2 days, Indy 500 practice. It's the month of May, the biggest spectacle in racing. IndyCar is back at Indy and Coke 600. Well, the last 2 days, they've been marred by rain, but they were able to get some practice in, and Scott Dixon top speed with 229 miles per hour. Kyle Larson got a couple runs in, but he couldn't get up to speed yesterday. But he was fifth fastest today with a 225 mile an hour run. That was a tow run, and they were running in groups. Tomorrow's going to be single run qualifying practice, and qualifying is going to be this Saturday with the first bump day since 2019.
No, they had a bump day last year.
Oh, did they? Okay, I didn't. But like I said, they have 34 cars this year, so they're doing a bump day, and it's Kyle Larson's first 500. Let's see how he does. He has a really fast car, so let's see.
Yeah, last year Ray Hall got bumped out the field and then got back in on I think it was a Stephen Wilson injury.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but to no one's surprise, Scott Dixon at the top when it comes to speed at the Indy 500. He always seems to have that. He just can't seem to put it all together as of late.
Takuma Sato was up there, and Joseph Newgarden.
Also, another former Indy 500 winner.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw something where Kyle Larson said he can't wait to have several days in the car in a row.
Yep.
That's perfectly natural. Like, he wants to get as comfortable as he can in that car, and the only way to do that is through repetition.
Who wouldn't? That's a 700 horsepower car, 230 miles. Because right now they're running race PSI right now, which is a little bit lower, so the engines can stay a little bit cooler during the race and not blow up. So they turn up to if you know racing, they like to turn up the PSI and turn up the engine power for qualifying. So if you're looking at qualifying pace, you're going to be looking at like 235, 236.
You'll see even more than that once they turn up the qualifying turbocharger. You'll see
almost 240. That's average. That's the average. I'm talking like 240, 245 into the corners.
You'll see the speed trap will be 246 or something like that. But like lap averages last year, we were seeing what
230,
242. I think was the lap average on one.
That was practice.
No, that was during one of I think it was during one of the Fast 9 drivers' pole attempts.
It was It was, but it wasn't the official record. The official record has to have the pole.
Yeah.
So the official record is 236.67 miles per hour, and it was set by Scott Dixon last year. Only after that.
And that's for a 4-lap average. I was talking about a single lap average speed.
Oh yeah, 242. Oh yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, 242. I think I even saw 243 for a single lap last year.
And Scott Dixon broke the record that technically Scott Brayton had, but Tony Stewart had to inherit because Scott Brayton got killed later in the week during a crash. But it's been nearly 30 years since they broke the speed record.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to NASCAR, our favorite.
Yep.
Yeah.
Coming back to NASCAR. Gentlemen, silly season started early this year.
Yes, sir, it did.
Some big breaking news. After a very successful career with Front Row Motorsports, Michael McDowell will be leaving Front Row Motorsports at the end of the 2024 season to go to Spire next year to drive the 71 car. And I'm going to start it off with Ryan down there. Ryan, how are we feeling about this big move here?
Pretty much that was my reaction when I saw it. First off, when I saw he was leaving, I was optimistic that, okay, maybe one of the Stewart-Haas cars, maybe an opportunity opened up for him at maybe Trackhouse or someone else. Ultimately, with the announcement being Spire, it really kind of feels a little bit like the Justin Haley move of moving out of a theoretically building team to go to a team that is, I think, substantially one and a half steps behind where his current team was. So, I mean, he's putting a little bit of a gamble on them having significant improvement in the driver compartment.
Oh, breaking! And I don't know if you guys knew about this. I don't know if it's been posted. I'm going to hold the thing. Breaking news: another silly season besides Michael McDowell from Front Row. There's a possible big move calling to might merge with Trackhouse Racing.
Yeah, that was on the list of topics here coming up.
It's been updated.
Yeah, I was just getting to that.
It's official. They are starting next season.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, that makes a ton of sense with the whole, because that's where we were going to get to next with the domino effect of Michael McDowell going into that car is going to displace Zane Smith, who was going to be in need of a ride. But from the Michael McDowell standpoint of it all, I mean, he's a veteran driver who probably couldn't really afford to wait around for the Ford Dark Horse Mustang to really finally hit its stride, which maybe it finally has this past weekend, which we will get into later. But it's one of those things that an experimental car that might take a while, and the year-to-year contracts not being a preferable thing for a driver who has had such a storied career. Both of those things kind of adding up to Michael McDowell kind of being out at Front Row.
Well, I wouldn't call Michael McDowell's career historic.
Why wouldn't you?
And I say it's a long, storied history of racing. I mean, he's been an above-average driver and has carried that team to more consistency than it's ever seen.
Yeah, you got me there. But
I mean,
yeah, it hasn't resulted in a championship, but that team has never been remotely close to a title.
They were a back marker before they took McDowell took over in 2019.
Yeah, I mean, before McDowell took over in 2019, or no, 2018. 2018 is when he moved over there because Casey Kane came in and replaced him at Lanine.
Yep.
But prior to that, they had what? One win with David Reagan on their entire legacy.
2 wins.
Oh yeah. Then they had the Chris Buescher win at Pocono. And then so far he's gone and doubled that win count to 4 now? With his wins at the Indy Road Course and Daytona 500.
2 big races at 2 very big tracks.
Exactly. I mean,
that's what I was.
There isn't much bigger, and then waiting at the Brickyard.
That's what I was just fixing to say. I mean, you could say his career is historic. I mean, nobody knew the name Michael McDowell until his infamous crash at Texas in 2008 during qualifying. And fast forward, 13 years later in 2021, he's a Daytona 500 champion, and a year later he wins Indianapolis, probably one of the most other prestigious circuits out there, so I mean, it is historic. But what you were saying, Ryan, about him not waiting on the Dark Horse Mustang to hit its stride and stuff, are we forgetting that Chevy is possibly getting a new body next year, and Chevy may be playing the catch-up game in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility. I say we haven't really heard a whole lot about what Chevy's going to be doing with the with the street Camaro going away, but
they might run the Camaro
it's very
for one more
possible
year.
that they could roll out a new Camaro, but I'd be I'd expect that they might even wait 1 year just to try and make sure they get the design right.
I agree with that.
Remember when they went to the Camaro, it took them a long time to get going.
And then all of a sudden they were dominating.
Yeah, so I mean,
but then again, my thing is like back to the Ford Dark Horse kind of thing. I personally think it actually has hit its stride, especially the last 3 weeks. Have you seen Ford to finish top 5 in the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, I mean a lot,
especially Stewart-Haas Racing.
Yeah,
Stewart-Haas Racing.
But getting into what Tyler was saying a minute ago, Door Bumper Clear was talking about some silly season stuff the other day, and if the rumors are true about Trackhouse and Kaulig merging next year, that would most likely expand it to a 4-car team, which means they would need 2 more charters, possibly, and
they would get the 4 charters because Kaulig has 2 and Trackhouse has 2.
That is true, but there are big rumors going around of Stewart-Haas selling 2 of their charters and their building and property to Front Row Motorsports, and selling the other 2 charters to whoever wants them in the Cup Series, basically exiting the Cup Series completely and focusing just mainly on their Xfinity Series program. So
the way I had heard the way I heard the rumors was that it sounded more like Stewart-Haas was looking to do the same kind of thing that Trackhouse and Kaulig are doing.
Good Lord.
But with Front Row. Yeah, so it would become basically the 2 of them merging together to become a partnership. Stewart-Haas would still be able to sell 2 of their charters, and they would still have 4 charters under their control.
Exactly.
And they would ultimately send probably Ryan Preece packing, keep their other 3 drivers in-house along with Todd Gilliland, now that there's an open charter at Front Row.
Yeah.
At least that's the thing that would make the most sense to me, would be for those 2 teams to merge there. Yeah, again, Stewart-Haas being able to sell off 2 of the charters, potentially either have Haas or Stewart make their exit if they're looking for an exit, and then being able to still keep 3 of your drivers that you've built up and built around.
Yeah. Well, they did say on Door Bumper Clear that there are a few big teams out there looking at Noah Gragson.
Oh, Noah Gregson's performed way above what everybody expected this year.
So this could be just a maybe a 1-year deal at Stewart-Haas, and he may end up somewhere pretty big in 2025.
Well, but where would be a big seat that's open? I mean, all the big teams are pretty well locked up.
Penske.
Who, unless Penske buys an extra charter.
They're going to get rid of Austin Cindric.
They did.
Why would they get rid of Cindric, though? His dad's team president, and he hasn't done too horribly.
They did say that there was a possibility that Harrison Burton may not be returning to the 21 next year.
Yeah, I can see that, but I just question whether that's a big team.
That was confirmed.
What? Oh, Harrison Burton's not returning?
Yes.
Where was that confirmed?
I saw it today.
Okay. Who? Where from?
What source?
Yeah, cite your
sources. I haven't heard that at all.
I think it was from Bob.
All right. Well,
I get notifications all day long from Bob. I never saw anything about it confirmed that Burton was leaving Wood Brothers.
Okay. I saw it, but maybe I didn't see it.
Eric Jones is having a kid.
Yep. Saw that.
Some guy named Will Brown will be Supercars driver Will Brown will be driving for RCR at Sonoma in the I would assume the 33 car.
Yep.
Let's see.
While we're looking this stuff up, and while we're on the topic of 2025,
I
was listening to. What's that?
Schedule review.
Yeah, I was going to say I was listening to the Teardown on Monday, and they said that we should expect a full schedule release for 2025 in the next couple of weeks. And some of the rumors going around about the schedule next year, Mexico City is replacing the Richmond Spring date. It has already been confirmed that Atlanta will not be the opening playoff race next year. It will be moving to June, and we will get into that here in just a couple minutes. Rockingham, the possibility of the Rock returning. Daytona will be the playoff cutoff race again. Easter Sunday will be an off weekend again. And the biggest one that they talked about, this was mainly Jordan Bianchi talking about it. He wrote an article on The Athletic. Bowman Gray Stadium hosting the Clash next year.
Also, according to Bob Pockrass, NASCAR in the middle of September will be taking the wet weather tires to Homestead, Miami for a test.
Oh, yep. My!
That's big.
And Homestead, the city of Homestead, Miami, will be putting in a bid to host the 2026 championship weekend.
It is Phoenix. It is confirmed Phoenix is hosting it one more year.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm not seeing anything from Bob, though, about that.
Yep. Jamie, you've been pretty quiet. You got any news nuggets for us, or what's your thoughts on all of this silly season rumor stuff?
I know that next season, Prime will be streaming up to 5 different races, and they will be kicking it off with a Coca-Cola 600.
Yeah, and it'll be the 4 races following that as well, I believe.
Yep. And then for all of next season, if you are the type like me who likes to listen to in-car radios and periodically look at the videos from in-car, you will be able to do so with your Max subscription. Thanks to TNT Sports, with them owning the Max product, I would look forward to just getting my daily dose of hearing what Chase Elliott's doing, along with a lot of the other Hendrick guys. But I will be tuning into whichever cars are in the front running to win each races, just to hear the conversation that's going on week in and week out.
Now, Greg, back on the schedule thing. So Mexico City is confirmed.
According to Jordan Bianchi, it is all but confirmed that Mexico City will be replacing Spring Richmond next year.
I know exactly what track they're running to.
Well, you say Mexico City.
It's
assuming they're talking about
the road course.
No, Mexico City. Course. No, not a street course. It's a street at the circuit outside of Mexico City called Circuit Algarve, and it's actually 1,000 feet. It's 5,000 feet in the air. Mexico City circuit.
Bless you. Well, while Tyler's getting that information, going back to the Atlanta thing, Jamie mentioned Prime taking 5 races next year, starting with the Coke 600. TNT will be kicking off their portion of the season with Atlanta in June and running or televising 5 races. And they announced the other day an in-season tournament. They are taking Denny Hamlin's bracket challenge from last year and the possibility of Ryan's idea that he came up with last year as well, and doing an elimination style bracket tournament. They will take the top 32 drivers in points and seed them like you would the NCAA teams. And each race, drivers will be eliminated and moved on to the next round until you get to race number 5. And you'll have 2 drivers competing head to head, and whoever finishes ahead of the other gets $1 million bonus.
Now, here's my question as to depending on what that championship race is for that $1 million, what's to stop a out of contention teammate from potentially hindering or just straight up taking out the other competitor?
I
To try and
don't know.
secure their teammate getting the million. Just asking. Just asking, because if I were the contingent teammate at that situation, and all I know is I gotta hold up this driver no matter what situation I'm in, okay.
I mean,
Anyway,
that's
so yes,
that's a great
I got
point. And real quick, Tyler, before you go, Denny Hamlin did announce on action. Oh yeah. Denny Hamlin did announce on Actions Detrimental the other day that starting May 28th, his bracket challenge will be returning, where we as fans can fill out brackets and like we did last year, and the winner or winners get prizes at the end or whatever. So be sure to fill out your brackets if you're interested in it. But go ahead, Tyler.
I was going to say before Tyler goes, I just wanted to just talk about the bracket for a second. And the best thing that's going to be for, because I'm sure all of us here at the Lapdown Podcast are going to be making brackets once they announce like the actual in-season tournament where the seeding lines are going to be and everything like that. Yeah. But the great thing about this is they're starting off with a big wild card, which is Atlanta. Another drafting track, super speedway style, with one of the most epic finishes. We can't call it the most epic finish anymore, thanks to a certain race that we have already blown out of proportion already. But
I don't know. I still think Atlanta was a more epic finish. It wasn't as close, but I think it was more epic.
Well, maybe we can use that as a debate. Once we come back next week, we'll come back. You choose one side, I'll choose another.
Okay, well, I have my defense already ready.
Yeah,
with it being Atlanta, there could be a lot of major upsets in the bracket right off the bat, and I'm excited to see this.
Yeah, me too.
And now,
go ahead, Tyler.
So the circuit's called Autodromo or Hermano Rodriguez. It's a Formula One track, and it's about 5,000 feet above sea level. It's just outside of Mexico City. Actually, before anybody else says, NASCAR, well, back then it was the Busch/Nationwide Series, ran there from 2005 to 2008. And it'll be for the first time that a NASCAR large sanctioned event ran there since 2008.
Right?
Okay.
NASCAR Mexico Series runs there every year, but we're talking like the top three, tops in North America.
Going back though to the schedule rumors that you mentioned from Jordan Bianchi, I will say if that is true, I will be very disappointed with the location of the Clash. I was okay with the idea of the quarter-mile track, with the caveat that the whole goal was to try and put it in the middle of a city that doesn't typically see NASCAR. But doing a quarter-mile track in the middle of NASCAR country, I don't know if I feel like that's a good use of the season opening Clash.
Well, I mean, they do. A lot of the drivers were complaining about the cross-country travel and how it's not really worth lugging all the equipment and the amount of money that it took to get to the other side of the country. So NASCAR's kind of like, all right, well, we're gonna do them a solid, and let's just put right in NASCAR country, less travel, and
try and work out a deal with one of the NFL or other stadiums, because there's a lot of stadiums in the Southeast.
Faster now.
I'm
talking on the third.
Oh, okay. But I mean, there's a lot of different stadiums all over the place. I mean, who's to say they couldn't strike a deal with, let's just say for an example, the Carolina Panthers to go and use their stadium, since they won't be using it in February.
Yeah, I mean that's true, but you also got to think too.
That would keep it right in the heart of NASCAR country, but still at least put on the same kind of big lights show.
Yeah, but you also got to think Bowman Gray, it's a track that's already built, so they don't really have to do too much to it. And like Jamie said, you know, they don't have to pack up and travel cross country like all 36 chartered teams who want to run, and 12 or 13 of them have to turn right around and come back home after a day and a half because they didn't make the race.
Yeah.
You know, they spend more money driving out there than they would getting paid to or whatever the payout is for their finishing position in the Clash.
Yeah, but again, kind of my point being is that I feel like the season opener race should be being used to try and draw new fans in. Because, like, when it comes to Bowman Gray, who's going to be watching that other than the diehard NASCAR fans who are already watching every race anyway?
Yeah,
at least with the LA Coliseum, there's a good chance that there's some people tuning in because, well, I know the LA Coliseum as a sports venue, or they happen to be in LA and they hear the cars going by and poke their heads in to see what's going on.
Yep.
Nobody's gonna be just wandering the streets of wherever Bowman Gray is. What town even is Bowman Gray in?
I think it's near Winston-Salem, I think.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so yeah, no one's going to be walking around Winston-Salem, hear cars going around and poke their heads into Bowman Gray like, oh, is there something going on here?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a true statement, too.
Yeah. Now, I'd be more okay with
it
if they wanted to try and do it for the All-Star race, because the All-Star race has already kind of become an homage to the NASCAR fan base with the North Wilkesboro remodel.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see over the next couple of weeks what comes out news-wise and come back to our thoughts here and see if we were right or wrong. But
I'd just be curious to know what the NASCAR teams think cost-wise. Is it worth it to go and take the cars to Daytona and crash like they had been versus going out to LA and potentially not making the race? Like, what's the cost-benefit analysis there? Which one's more cost-effective?
If you're throwing cost-effectiveness in there, the fact that they don't have to build much onto the track, like they had to make an entire track inside a stadium. So just in the financial aspects of all that went into
I'm talking about from the
building the track
aspects of the teams, though, because the teams aren't paying to build the track, right? That would be a NASCAR expense.
I mean, if you're talking about that, it would be more cost effective to drive cross country to LA because, you know, you come back with a trailer full of wrecked race cars from Daytona, you're spending more money to rebuild those cars than you are to just pack them up and drive them back across the United States.
Yeah,
that is true.
Kind of looking at what we've had in the past for a Clash, because honestly, even the Clash returning to Daytona would inspire a little bit more confidence in me than, again, the short track thing at Bowman Gray at a track that really is just too small for these NASCAR cars.
Yep. But moving forward, we threw it back this weekend at Darlington. It was throwback weekend. There was a lot of great throwbacks this weekend. Hendrick Motorsports blew it out of the water with their throwbacks, especially that Kyle Larson, Terry Labonte throwback.
That was good.
That was a beautiful
Honestly,
car.
The Chase Elliott one was pretty solid too.
I'm a bit biased on that one.
Yeah. And looking behind me, looked really good on track too. The renders, I wasn't sold on the renders, but on track that thing looked as good.
I wish Lowe's would have done a one-off with Bowman though. Like that would have looked a lot better.
Yeah, but also think about Lowe's already did that throwback back to that original scheme a couple of years ago when they were leaving.
Yeah, but the big news coming out of Darlington. Brad Keselowski is back,
I guess
ladies
he
and
decided
gentlemen.
to turn the clock back to 2021.
Yep.
Back when he was winning races.
Yep. He won Darlington with that beautiful Castrol Toyota Supra throwback car that he had. He was stout pretty much all day long. He ran top 3 most of the day, and they had a late race caution with about, I want to say 30, 35 to go. And on the ensuing restart, him and Tyler Reddick just were running side by side for lap after lap after lap. And Chris Buescher said, you know what?
If he lost that lead, he wasn't going to get another shot at it.
Buescher said, you know what? I'm tired of sitting behind here. And he took him 3 wide coming off of turn 4 to take the lead going into turn 1. And he led up until about 10 to go. Tyler Reddick was running him down. And Reddick made a move. He sent it in, and it didn't stick, and they made contact. Both of them cut down their tires, and that allowed Keselowski to squeak back by and steal the win. Kind of feels like the win was a little bit overshadowed by what happened on pit road afterwards. Buescher was very, very big mad at Tyler Reddick. So much so that he went down and he went down and physically grabbed Tyler Reddick. Now, Buescher's a big guy. He could have lifted Reddick up and threw him across the track if he wanted to. There were some words. There were some words said, and Tyler took responsibility for his move. My question to you guys is, was Reddick's move justified there, or did he make it too soon?
No.
Too early.
1, it was too early, and 2, what on earth were you thinking? You weren't going to make that. And I say, best case scenario, you clear him, you slam yourself into the fence, and then he runs into the back of you, and you both lose.
I'm not going to say anything.
I mean, legitimately, best case scenario is you dive in there, get up in front, slam the wall because you overcommitted the corner, and then the guy runs into the back of you, and you have 2 destroyed race cars, and that's best case scenario.
Hey, Brian, who else is a victim of that?
Who
else is a victim of that?
What do you mean?
You don't remember me doing that to you a couple years ago? I've done it to quite a few people. I'm not going to deny. I pulled the Tyler Reddick. He pulled what I would do in Heat 5.
Yeah. But again, when your best case scenario is having 2 wrecked race cars, that's not a very good move to make.
No. And
I know that a lot of people have said Reddick gassed, or not Reddick, that Buescher gassed you up a lot earlier, so Reddick probably thought he was going to end up clear, and that Buescher hit the wall beforehand. But again, there was no world in which Buescher was going to avoid wall contact there.
Yeah.
Because either he ends up running into the back of Reddick or he gets door slammed by Reddick.
Yep. There was something that Buescher said to Reddick while they were on pit road that I, completely agree with and completely understand from his perspective. He pointed at the winter sticker that's on Tyler Reddick's car and said, this right here, we don't have one of these. This means more. And, in that moment, you got to feel for Chris Buescher because he lost.
He also lost what could have even been a second place finish. He got another solid second even. I mean, that'd be some good points. He ends up with a 30th place.
Yeah, but to be in contention to win a race 2 weeks in a row and have it just ripped away from you, just like, has got to be just incredibly brutal. Like, Jamie, what are you thinking over there?
About which subject?
Just
about the thing.
The whole incident in general.
I mean, it's just frustration on Chris Buescher's side. He wants to win so badly, and coming up short or having something feel like he very well could have won taken from him. It's just on track frustration. That's all it really is. I know that the whole "it means more" thing it kind of seems like a wrestling term, like that you see from like WWE, where. But at the end of the day, it's just racing, and drivers are allowed to get frustrated. But I think it's important not to blow it out of perspective.
Yep. But at the same time, too, if you look at it from Tyler Reddick's perspective, he's got to win. Like, he already has the win from Talladega, so he's giving no Fs, and you know what I'm talking about. So he's gonna go for it. He's literally got nothing to lose. He's already locked in.
Yeah, if he wins that race, he gets 5 more playoff points. If he wrecks out, he's in the playoffs regardless.
Yep. But on the, on the flip side of that, they were talking about it on something, or I seen it on Twitter maybe. Buescher went from having what would have been a really good points day, had let's say Reddick did clear him. He went from having a really good points day, finishing second, to being just 15 points above the playoff cutoff line going into Charlotte next week.
Yep. And that's a race where he has not had the best of days either. Remember a couple years ago, he ended up upside down at at Charlotte.
Yep. Not by his own doing, but
it's just another one of those tracks where he hasn't had the best of luck.
Yeah. So, it's starting to get dicey from 10th to 16th in points because we're halfway through the regular season now. And, the guys 10th to 16th are going to start, I wouldn't say panicking, but maybe throwing more caution to the wind on trying to win some of these races so they can get their spot secured.
Now, I've got a question for you guys each. Would your guys' opinion on this move be different if this were the fall Darlington race, which is this year's playoff cutoff race?
Southern 500.
That move had happened in the Southern 500 and had been Buescher's last chance to win his way in.
Oh, Buescher would have beat the shit out of him. Pardon my language.
Oh yeah, at that point we would have seen more than shouting on pit road. We would have seen full fisticuffs.
There would have been bloodshed. I'm sorry to say, but
just figured I'd ask that question because obviously this is kind of an outlier year where Darlington actually did get the
I'm going to also say Ryan. I'm also going to say this: Tyler Reddick, if he pulled that, he would have been penalized for it too.
Do you think so?
I think because the race is more on the line, especially at the end of the year. Cutoffs.
Do you think that they would actually penalize him for it, though? Because they've been very hands-off when it comes to penalties for going for the win.
It's boys have at it, but at some point...
It's have at it to an extent.
Yeah.
but you gotta give props to NASCAR for just, letting them do what they did. And, they made contact, hit the wall, cut tires down, and there was no yellow thrown. Had they thrown a yellow, who knows if Keselowski would have won that race.
Yeah, I honestly was kind of surprised that there wasn't a yellow thrown. It could have been
Byron or Bell, because Byron, Bell, and Truex were hauling ass. Same with Gibbs.
So was Ty Gibbs was there, too.
Yeah, I think Ty Gibbs, if the yellow falls out, I think Ty Gibbs gets that win.
Honestly, if the race was 5 laps longer, I think Ty Gibbs wins this thing.
Because Ty Gibbs had
he was hauling. He was hauling there at the end. He got what was he like 2 seconds behind Brad when Brad took the lead back, and it was like half a second at the checkered flag.
Oh yeah, it was like half a second.
Yeah. But some other notable finishes from Darlington. We mentioned Ty Gibbs finishing second. Josh Berry finished third.
Josh Berry's also been on a roll.
Not Chris Buescher. Chase Briscoe finished sixth, I think, fifth or sixth. No. And how about Justin Haley in the Rick Ware car finishing
He's turned that Rick Burkhardt around, dude.
Yeah, and that they were talking about on Door Bumper Clear that wasn't just by luck. Like, he straight up drove himself into the top 10.
It was 1.2 seconds between Gibbs and Keselowski as a checkered, by the way.
Oh, it was? I thought it was closer than
1.2. Yeah, no,
But
1.2 back.
Yeah, you were talking about Ford in their stride. Half of the top 10 in the finishing order was Ford's this past weekend.
Well, Hendrick also, if you think about it, the only Hendrick car that was good got taken out with like 40 to go. No, it was a little bit earlier than that. Kyle Larson got taken out.
He was the caution with 35 to go.
Yeah.
And then they got Byron, Chase, and Bowman were just not there. They did not have the speed.
Shout out back top 10 for Michael McDowell.
Yep.
No, did Byron finish in the top 10?
I
believe he did, yes.
Let me see.
Because I know here. Chase Elliott was like low 30th for most of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, he took forever to get going and then still never really picked up. Byron was 6th.
Byron finished 6th.
Byron finished 8th. Bowman 8th. So
Chase
2 Hendrick cars in the top 10 and Elliott 12th.
Okay, so Elliott...
the Hendrick cars got there by the end of the day. It just took them forever to get there.
Or if it was the full 367 laps, I think Hendrick would have been up there for the win. The way they were running.
And another streak was broken too. Every race except for Atlanta and Talladega has been won by a Hendrick or Gibbs car, but that all changed this weekend.
Can I point out, is this a good time to point out the irony of that Ford finally wins a race once they put a Toyota Supra team on
there? That's funny. I like that. I didn't even think about that. So technically Ford won, but they technically didn't. They technically did, but they won with a Toyota scheme.
I don't think anyone else had really pointed out that irony.
Because they won with a Toyota scheme.
And I mentioned it too, and it didn't even click either.
Yeah, that the first win for Ford on the season comes with a
Toyota scheme. That's good, Ryan. I didn't even think that's good.
Yep.
Now we all know.
Yep.
We all know that how hard or how much Brad Keselowski's been wanting to win as an owner / driver. Now that he's got this win on the books, do you think that just opened the floodgates and he may click off a few more wins this season?
I think
YES.
Yes. Oh, I think so. Easily.
I think he could, or I think this could also be a mode where he kind of shifts now that he's gotten his win out the way, that he could potentially play the teammate game to help Buescher more so than he had down the stretch.
Buescher's up there,
especially in the playoffs. Those two, they were both in it for the same amount of time, and Keselowski was looking for that first win.
If Buescher's up there,
he wasn't really helping his teammate the same way that he can now, where he doesn't have the pressure of needing a win.
What's that, Jamie?
What did you say, Jamie?
I said if Buescher's up there to be helped.
Well, I mean, after the last 2 weeks, I have a hard time believing that Buescher won't find his way back to the front.
I think Buescher's trying to break through. It's just the fact that he's just had his luck hasn't been his way.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see at North Wilkesboro and Charlotte these next 2 weeks, but
I think he'll win it like Nashville or something like that. Because he was pretty quick last year at Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville is still that race is on June 30th. That's a long ways away.
Not really. Yeah. It's about a month.
I'm curious to see how which Cup drivers adjust best to Iowa. I mean, I know it's probably the easy threat there.
Oh no, Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell is easily the threat there. Joe Logano, Christopher Bell.
Yeah, but my point of Logano being that he's won pretty much every inaugural race in the recent memory outside of the Indy Road Course. Because he won the first Clash at the Coliseum. He won the first Gateway race.
He won
didn't he win Didn't he win the first Clash on a road course too?
No, the one and only Clash of the Daytona Road Course was
Christopher Bell.
No, Christopher Bell won the regular season race of the Daytona Road Course. Kyle Busch won the preseason race.
That's right. Yeah, Kyle Busch stole it after Chase and Blaney got into it coming out of that final chicane. Yeah, that's right.
No, who else I was thinking? But I actually see Christopher Bell as the Xfinity got the truck guys, because truck guys ran Iowa the last couple of years, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, truck and Xfinity had both run Iowa,
and I think the truck guys come into Cup like Zane Smith and stuff like that. Zane Smith and Noah Gragson have had experience at Iowa, so I think they'll prevail.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, Iowa's also a lot. It's actually. Go ahead, JP.
I was just going to say, with Iowa being so new to the Cup Series, I really don't think it's going to be that easy to win at Iowa, just because
it's already sold out.
Yeah, the car. I wish I was going to that race to really evaluate where that short track program is for NASCAR, but what do you guys think? You think it's going to put on a good show, or do you think we're going to see?
That's all going to depend on how the tire situation goes this weekend at the All-Star race. The tires that they're bringing in for the All-Star race this weekend is going to be the precursor for Iowa.
Yep,
because they like we
strategy.
Yeah, we talked about it either last week or the week before. They're done trying to redo the physical aspects of the car for the short track package. They're focusing on the tire situation now, and that's why they're bringing in the soft tire for the All-Star race, because it's going to be more or less like a test session because there's no points on the line.
I don't like that.
We're just going to have to see how that goes.
I will say, if someone's tire goes down, costing them the million, will they be more or less upset than if they had a tire go down, costing them a race win?
That's honestly,
NASCAR trying to get experimental with it.
It depends on who you ask.
I think there's a very large amount of drivers that would probably say the $1 million, the loss of $1 million would be worse.
For the people who don't know what Iowa is literally like a little bit bigger sister track to Richmond. It has higher banking, but it's also a faster overall oval.
Yeah.
It's actually
it's like if you took Bristol and then made it into the shape of Richmond.
Oh yeah, it's actually a pretty fast. It's 8/10 of a mile, which is about 1/10 of a mile bigger than Richmond.
It's 7/8 of a mile.
7/8 of a mile, and it only holds 30,000 people, but it's already sold out. So good luck getting your tickets unless they expand the grandstands.
Yep.
And I think it's the same weekend as the IndyCar, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't think so.
No, it's not. I can confirm that. IndyCar race weekend is in July.
And NASCAR is in June 16th. Not to mention IndyCar is running a doubleheader, so it'd be very hard to get a NASCAR race in there.
Oh, did anybody hear this? Jimmy Johnson's going to be broadcasting for the Indy 500, and he's going to broadcast. Then he's going to try to race at the Coca-Cola 600.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that.
Are going to be flying together.
Pretty much.
Yep.
All right.
July 13th and 14th is the IndyCar race at Iowa, so about 1 month later.
Yep. A little bit more news. A little bit more news on the IndyCar double for Kyle Larson. Bob Pockrass did put out today that Tony Kanaan is the backup driver for Larson should the Indy 500 get delayed or rained out. And Justin Allgaier would most likely be the backup driver for the 5 car should Larson not be able to make the Coke 600.
At least the start of it.
Yeah, at least the start, yes.
Yeah. And then there's always the concern with IndyCar and high-speed crashes of if he is questionable with an injury after a wreck, if he were to crash out of the race.
Because if you learned, if you watch IndyCars, how fast the steering wheel moves around when they wreck, he needs to learn to take his hands off the wheel.
Or, well, I mean, even just the questionability of a head injury at that kind of speed. Mm-hmm. I mean, you don't know until days later if you're actually good.
I mean, Kyle Larson flipped 2 days ago at Kokomo.
Yeah.
He flipped at Kokomo 2 days ago?
Kokomo.
Sprint car.
Oh. Okay, I was going to say, I didn't think anyone was racing at Pocono this time of year.
No, it's Kokomo, Indiana.
Okay.
I'm a huge dirt fan, so I think Greg, you like dirt, right?
Yeah.
You know what car I was talking about.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to move now into green flags, black flags. For our new listeners, green flags are something that we like during the race weekend, and black flags are something that we didn't like, and we are going to kick it off with JP.
All right. So, this is going to be tough for me this week, but my green flag has to be the good side-by-side racing we saw between the 17 sits and the before mentioned 45. I know that was a cut tire that if that doesn't happen, I think we had a good side-by-side battle. So that's my green flag. My black flag has to be NASCAR. What are you thinking? Kyle Larson. I guess my green flag has to be the Kyle Larson paint scheme. I really like that. And my black flag has to be the fact that when I went back to watch the race and I saw the 71 team just sitting there, and I did think that it took the safety team way too long, because that looked like a business hit the 71 car took.
Yeah, but I mean, say any kind of wreck like that, it's going to take some time for the safety crew to get out there.
Especially it depends on part of the track they're at as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was right by start-finish line, so you had to get in and around the pit road. You had to be wary of any other cars potentially, because it was also green flag cycle where somebody might have been coming back to pit road for either fixing a loose wheel after a pit stop or potentially making a later stop.
Can I go next to that use bathroom?
Yeah, go right ahead.
My green flag for the week. My green flag is honestly, in general, the entire racing for the weekend for all three races. All three races were great. I mean, they were great races. I mean, turn 2 was turn 2, and I can't really do anything about it. But it was great racing, and kudos to NASCAR for bringing a tire that didn't fall apart like Bristol, but didn't not wear like Martinsville. My black flag, honestly, I'm sorry for Tyler Reddick fans, but I'm sorry, my black flag goes to Tyler Reddick. What the hell were you thinking, dude?
Well, you know what he was thinking because you make that same move all the time.
But yes, Tyler Reddick, that move was not right too early. And I think you should be working better. And you're a race winner, dude. Think smarter, not harder. There, I'll be back on the
All right, Ryan, you're next.
All right. So I'll throw out my green flag for the weekend. Is going to be, honestly, the paint schemes. I know a lot of people have been saying how Throwback Weekend has kind of lost some of its luster. All the good schemes have been done. Clearly, I think the Hendrick guys showed that, hey, not all the good schemes have been done. And I think they even started to open up the idea that, hey, these schemes that are now just now turning about 10 years old, like Brad Keselowski's championship schemes from his 2012 season, some of those other schemes that are starting to become classics from that era. I mean, you've got the Dale Jr. Mountain Dew and Amp Energy car or whatever that was kind of one of his more classic looks from the 2000s. Like, there's a lot of schemes we just haven't seen yet, and the teams this year showed up and showed out. And my black flag on the weekend, I know I would typically have given it to Reddick, but since Tyler just gave his to Reddick, I'll go ahead and give a different one, and I will go ahead and give my red flag of the week to Zane Smith and the 71 team. I mean, this is now. I mean, he's been struggling all year, and then he goes and has yet another crash. I mean, he crashed here, he crashed at Bristol. I mean, I'm sure that it's just a quote-unquote rookie season issue, but it's one of those things that as a truck champion, you imagine that he should have been ready for.
Yeah.
And or at least showing that, hey, maybe he should have spent a year in Xfinity. I mean, Spire has an Xfinity Series team that they brought out a couple of times last year to try and get host of our seat time. Honestly, I question whether or not maybe Zane Smith should have spent a year in Xfinity before moving right up to Cup.
Yeah. What about you, Jamie?
So we can't have a green flag, black flag segment without somebody giving Brad Keselowski a green flag for finally snapping that winless streak. So I will be the one to do that. Congrats, Bad Brad. Snapping that drought, getting that drought over with, getting that hump off your back, and getting back to doing what you like to do, which is being in contention and winning. My black flag is going to be a little interesting one. It's all these drivers who ran throwback schemes but inadvertently raced like those throwback drivers. I'm talking about, I'll start off with Kyle Larson. Terry Labonte's paint scheme, everyone talked about it. Finished in the most Terry Labonte fashion ever, have it being a contender all race long, but having a tire go down or something wonky happening that takes him out of contention. Chase Elliott running a Dale Jr. scheme. Let's run back half of the pack and very quietly end up in a 12th place finish. Very typical of a Dale Jr. race. There's more that I could go into, but we don't have enough time for me to go onto it. I mean, even I'll throw out, since we're talking about Hendrick, Byron, 2009 Jeff Gordon. 2009 Jeff Gordon was on the back pedal. He was coming off of his championship runs, and then he was just kind of mid to mid pack to maybe fifth or sixth, and you get a few wins early on, and then you just kind of fade off a little bit as the season goes on. So there we go. That's my black flag, is drivers racing like those throwback people rather than trying to get them a win.
So basically what you're saying, it was a true throwback weekend.
Oh, for sure. For sure. It was very authentic. I appreciated it.
Yeah, I actually had a friend of mine when I was telling him that it was throwback weekend. He was asking me if they were running the old cars, and it's like, yeah, no. Now, maybe for All-Star Weekend, that'd actually be an interesting concept to run like 4 different generations of NASCAR cars, just all with upgraded safety features.
Yeah. So my green flag goes to NASCAR. for not throwing the caution there when Reddick and Buescher made contact and cut the tires and just let the race play out as they should have, instead of being so trigger happy on that caution button. I appreciated that a whole lot. And my black flag probably has to go to Ryan Blaney for losing his absolute ever-loving mind yet again on the radio after his incident with William Byron, saying that he was going to basically kill William Byron, and then come out on the track and try to sideswipe Byron like he was Cole Trickle in Days of Thunder, trying to take out Russ Wheeler. Blaney, man, you got to do something. Get your head straight. You know, like Denny Hamlin said the other day, he's one of the most calm, cool, collected persons outside of the race car, but when he gets in the race car, he just loses his mind. So I don't know what's going on with Blaney. But all right, so that will move us into our last topic of the night. It is All-Star Weekend, boys. And we are returning to North Wilkesboro with a fresh repave, different tire options for the teams. And Ryan has our wheel set up. We are going to make our picks. We can still pick anybody that we choose, but I'm almost willing to bet that everybody's going to choose drivers that are already locked into the All-Star race.
Especially if there's no bonus points associated with picking someone who isn't.
Yep. And this week, race picks are worth double points. And just a quick shout out to Jamie for winning race picks yet again at Darlington with his pick of Denny Hamlin. That's what, 4 or 5 wins this year so far?
Yeah, there seems to be a trend, and I don't like the trend because I really don't want to have to root for him, but he's making me root for him.
Yep. So, yeah, Ryan, if you want to go ahead and get that first spin, Tyler's not back yet, so if it lands on him, we can just spin it again. Yeah.
Well, it's not going to land on him. It's going to land on you, Greg.
Oh, I get first pick.
Yeah, you got the first overall pick. Don't blow it like the Panthers did.
Oh, man. Let's see. North Wilkesboro.
Yeah.
I may regret this pick, but I am going to double down and I'm going to pick last year's winner, Kyle Larson.
Oh, perfect timing, huh?
Yep. Greg just took the number 1 overall pick and he took Larson.
That's not who I was thinking.
I don't know. I think that's a risky pick, though, because, again, he's going to be in Indy all day long and potentially have to rush right back after the race.
Leave the man alone. He's probably going to be picking Larson for both the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600, too.
No.
So
you don't know who I'm picking. You don't know who I'm picking.
Oh, no.
I got the wizard ball.
Our goal is to take that pick take one of those picks from him.
Who's next?
I'm spinning it right now.
Fuck, please don't land on me. Please land on me.
Tyler.
I'm personally going, as much as I hate him, I'm going with the short track king this season, Denny Hamlin.
All right.
Good. I don't have to pick him. Good.
I hate him, but I think he'll score me some good points this week.
All right. JP, you still awake?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, well, it's your pick.
Okay, what do you think going? My pick this week has to go to the number 24, William Byron.
That's a pick. Okay.
That's a solid pick.
Yep.
All right, you two are left.
Yes, I'm not last. Let's go. How come I'm always one of the last 2 to pick when I'm spinning the wheel?
I literally begged the wheel to pick me second.
So, all right, I've got my pick. I get to go ahead and, you know what? I don't get to do this very often because he's not locked into the All-Stars very often. I'm just going to go ahead and take my guy, Michael McDowell. I don't have a whole lot of hope for this one, but I want to root for him, so I'm taking him.
I want to beat
He's
Jamie
not in
and
the
Ben.
All-Star race very often.
I want to beat Jamie and Ben. That's all I care about.
Hey, watch Michael McDowell now win. Although, granted, I'm picking him, so he's probably going to finish dead last.
All right, Jamie.
On lap 1.
All right, Jamie. Who's going to boost your points?
Wait, we got to go ahead and spin it. Make sure it lands on Jamie versus.
Let the man do the spin.
Hey, look, it's Jamie.
Hey, who would have guessed it?
It actually landed pretty much perfectly on your name, too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, out of the whole wheel, it actually landed pretty much perfectly right on his name.
So I'm actually going to go with the high hand. And what I mean by high hand, I mean the team that is up and coming, not necessarily team, I mean manufacturer. So I'm going with a Ford. For the first time this season, one of us is going to pick a Ford. Wait, Ryan, you chose McDowell, right?
Yeah, I just took McDowell.
I
took McDowell at Talladega earlier this year, too. And I think I took him at Daytona, too.
But you did not let me finish. For once, because of my hot streak is going...
And won.
What I was going to say is I'm going to pick a Ford and I'm going to win this week. And I'm going to do it with Joey Logano.
All right. Solid pick.
Okay.
Oh, Jamie, just an FYI, I did win with a Ford this year. I won with Keselowski at Talladega. So
that's right, you did.
Well,
that's right, he did. All right, that was actually perfect.
You ruined it.
I only want Hamlin because the way he's been performing on short tracks this year.
So,
but as always, I'll get the remaining picks through messages and text and all that good stuff. Go ahead, JP. You got to say something real quick.
Yeah, I was just going to say, let's all enjoy the All-Star race and make sure to please, the Acolyte Project.
They have a pretty cool album on Spotify. Yeah, it's pretty good.
They have a good. Thank you again once again, and while I'm at it, also want to put out a plug. Get some major stuff going on over on my channel, so go check that out. New cards, I'm revamping my program, so go check out what I have going on over there.
Yep, you guys go blow JP up, get his stuff going up. All right.
Be careful with your choice of words there, Greg.
Don't literally blow him up. Go support him. Go support JP. He's his podcasts are awesome. Let's get him up. Maybe one day we'll all be popular enough to meet in person. No, one day it's gonna happen.
As always, a big thank you to all of our sponsors, Fanatics, Duke Cannon, W Energy, Sleep, Century PC, Bulletproof Coffee, Fanatics, and Fubo TV. Thank you for sponsoring this podcast, and please be sure to check out their links in our podcast description. And like JP said, again, a big special shout out to the Alkali Project for the music on the show. But this has been the Lap Down. I'm Greg, JP, Jamie, Tyler, and Ryan. We will see you guys after the All-Star race. Let's see who takes home that $1 million. All right.
Let's live it up.
Deuces.